Hey guys, welcome to Life is P. I'm your host, Phoenix Ash. If this is your first time joining me, thank you so much for giving me a try. If you're a repeat listener, thank you. I appreciate you guys contributing to the numbers. I appreciate you sharing it with your friends, listening in the offices. I've been getting all these messages about people who are discovering Life is P, and I'm so here for it. I'm here for all of you. Because your stories give me life, and I get excited to share the pieces of my life that I think can impact yours, or when you guys share things with me that impact me, that shift me and get me to thinking of some stuff. And so when I think about this past week and what the theme has been in my life, sometimes I talk about being having a spirit animal. Beyonce is my typical spirit animal. So like, she's my stay, she's my calm, she's my regular, right? That's me on a regular. But then, Jadakiss is becoming more regular for me because people are like turning me all the way up. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm gonna have to get Brooklyn on you. And not like on some old, like Brooklyn's not one big hood. For all of you guys who always say, like, why are you nervous to go to this other hood, or why are you nervous to go in this other neighborhood? You from Brooklyn. Brooklyn's not one big hood. So, and even if it were, to go in a hood that's not mine, it does not make me very comfortable, because hoods are not universal, despite what rappers may want you to think they are not. But anyhow, that's so off topic. But this week, I feel like my spirit animal was like a cross between TD Jakes and Jadakiss. I'm still on the Jadakiss, but then I was like swerving into TD Jakes. So I'm like, who is that? Is that Lecrae? Like, who? Anyway, like, I'm talking to people and I'm trying to speak life into people's dreams and passions, because I feel like we all need that. We all need that boost. We all need that reminder that there's something bigger out there that we're connected to, and we're bigger than what we're doing and then what we're living, and this disappointment that we have in the moment with life, and the frustration and overwhelming feelings that we have. We're bigger than that, and our purpose is bigger than that. And although those feelings are valid and they have their own purpose, that I just don't want you to get stuck in that feeling down, overwhelmed, tears in your eyes, frustrated, can't seem to make it past today, or not knowing what tomorrow will bring, not even seeing clearly enough to be able to dream. And I'm talking to people, and I thought to myself, like, I've been doing this show for about 1.5 years now, and I'm constantly talking to my fellow dream chasers, my fellow goal getters, and passion chasers, and people who have this thing that they're going to go get, or that this thing that they're reminded of that they love, and they want to invest time and education and try to make this thing happen and make it a way of life. But rarely does it dawn on me that there are people out there who have not put their finger on what it is they're passionate about, what it is that they would like to do as the thing that would fulfill them and make them feel good and make them feel as though they were living out their purpose. Rarely does it dawn on me that there are people who have not connected. And honestly, there's no one reason for it, right? Like, I don't have a formula. At least I don't know. I don't have the formula like, oh, it's because you're distracted by life, or, oh, it's because you didn't have enough opportunities in your younger life to be exposed to things to know what it is that you love. I don't know. I've met some people who that's been the case. They haven't been exposed to enough things. They haven't tried enough things to know what it is that they would like to do for the rest of their life. But I've also met people who are overly distracted by life and just haven't had the time to think. And recently I met someone who, she's like, honestly, I never thought about it. She's living her life. She's trying to take care of her kids. She's trying to, move past today. She's trying to finance the dream of having a house and a family and making sure her kids are safe and well educated and well fed. And, all of those are noble endeavors. But, I'm talking to her and I'm like, yo, if someone came to you and said, listen, all your bills will be paid. You never have to worry about mortgage, car note. If you got a speeding ticket, it'd be taken care of. You never have to worry about putting food in your fridge. Never have to worry about how you're going to save the money to go on the next trip. All of that, all your finances were taken care of. And the only catch was that you have to go to work. You could have any job, but you have to go to work. You have to work at something. And when I say go to work, you don't even have to leave the house for it. It could be something that you do from home, but you have to have a job. If that was the scenario, what job would you do? And now some people say, oh, I travel. I'd rate hotels, or I'd experience other countries or whatever. And I'm like, great. There's lots of programs to get you set up. Sorry, guys, my alarm's going off. There's a lot of programs and stuff that'll get you involved in being like a junior travel agent and exposing you to programs that would allow you to travel for free or a discount. Or, some people are like, hey, that's actually opening my eyes. Maybe I should go apply for a job at an airline, whatever. But like, what would you do? What would you do? And sometimes it's kind of awkward to me when I talk with someone and they're like, I don't have an answer. And because I'm so anxious to cheer you on, I'm so anxious to say, okay, let's get cracking. Like, I have to pause because I'm just like, well, they got to figure this out. And, maybe they don't have to, right? If they're at their happiest right now, then that's none of my business. But if that's something they'd like to pursue, like, I got to take my time with them and I got to step back and give them the time and opportunity to mull over what it is that, like, wow, that would be nice. And sometimes that's not even your passion or your lifelong dream, but all the things that we say, that would be nice. I wonder, like, why we stop ourselves and say, no, I can't do that though. You don't have to stay in the same job for 20 years if you don't want to. And it sounds simple when it comes out of my mouth, but honestly, I think there's a lot of people who don't know that they're stuck in this old school mindset that, the respectable thing is to stay with one company for 1,000,000 years until retirement. Especially now when there's so many companies that don't pay a retirement plan. Like, there's no pension. I mean, I feel like that was the driving force behind staying with a company for 20, 25 years. So if you wanted to be a marketer and you did well in marketing, but, hey, I've always wanted to work in telecom, why not try for a job in telecom? See what skills you have that are transferable and apply for a job in telecom. And, you could do 5 years there if you want to. You're not throwing away your time or your life. Time's going to pass anyway. Why not fill it with as many moments of feeding your curiosity and fulfilling your passions as possible? At least that's what I'm trying to do with my life, because that is enjoyable to me. And I just want people to enjoy their life. I'm an extremely sensitive person. And when I look at violence and bigotry and racism and, abuse, physical abuse, if you've read any of my books, I'm very concerned about rape and domestic violence. And, that stuff saddens me. And we can run down a laundry list of why a lot of those things happen. But I also think a big part of it is somebody who's involved is not living out the parts that make them happy. I'm not thinking about people who are just mentally twisted. And I say mentally twisted because I don't want to say mentally ill, because there are people who are suffering from mental diseases And I do not want to give a stigma that those are the people that we need to be afraid of, and those are the people that are abusive or act out in any particular kind of way, because there's so many mental illnesses that don't result in that type of behavior. So people who are mentally twisted, who have some weird logic going on and something happening early on in their lives, some type of trauma that build them into the monsters they are. It's just, I just want people to live happy lives, because I feel like the happier you are, I was going to say more happy, the happier you are, I feel like the more happiness you bring to someone else's life, the less likely you are to be negative towards someone, the less likely you are to downplay someone else's dreams, to step on someone else's hopes, to tear someone else down, or feel threatened by someone else's presence or someone else's rise. Because there's room for all of us to win. Like I just want to build up the person next to me. I don't want to feel threatened by the person next to me. I don't want to roll my eyes and feel like here she go or he go. Like I don't want to. I want to be able to say, go. Because I feel like if rising is your destiny, you're going to do it either way, right? So you're either going to do it because of me or in spite of me. I'd rather you do it because of me. I don't want to be the one who turns my nose and is like, you're not going to do it, and doubts you. I don't want to do that. And people do that for each other, and I can't stand it. So, but honestly, like, I'm talking to so many people, and it's weird to get these reminders that, you know, there's so many people out there who have not connected to their passion and to their purpose. So if you are one of those people, I want you to ask yourself if all your expenses were paid. If everything was financially taken care of, that wasn't the drawback. You didn't have to worry about how much the job was going to pay. You didn't have to worry about how you were going to balance your checkbook or balance your finances. You didn't even have to worry about paying for anything that's extracurricular. But you had to do something. You had to work at something. What would you do? What would you do? And I feel like you can start there. Start there. And if you don't necessarily know what is the thing that you're most passionate about, start with the thing that, hey, it would have been nice to do, blah, 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 dot, 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 dot. It's 3 dots, right? Dot, dot, dot. Yeah. Like, start with that. It might be nice to boom, 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 boom. And see if you get excited about that. And then think about the ways that you can make that happen, whether it be on a small scale or having a huge leap of faith and flipping careers, or however you're going to go about it. Maybe it's going back to school. Maybe it's finishing a degree. Maybe it's changing your major. Maybe it's having a conversation with someone in your life who's already active in that field and finding more about opportunities or what living that life is like. And if it starts to excite you, I think you're on the right path. And I think you need not be afraid if one day the excitement runs out, because I honestly feel like there's some things that you can do for 2 or 3 years, totally love it, and then move on. Like, you don't have to have that one thing forever. You don't. Like, who told you that? You don't. You don't. At least I don't think so. I know there was a time where, so I've always been a writer. Always. Anybody who knows me from high school, junior high school, remembers me as a writer. They will always ask, you still write rhymes? You still write poetry? You still write stories? Like, I've always been a writer. Any award I've gotten in high school, if any, has always been for writing. Because that was the one thing that you could get me to commit to. Except for that English teacher who wanted me to do that final paper. But that's a different issue. But writing, that was the thing that I've always loved to do. I've always enjoyed. Rap was the thing that pulled me into writing. honestly, because when I was a kid, and I remember the first term paper in junior high school that I wrote was about rap music. And when I went to the library, I had to go to like 3 different libraries to find a book on rap music. There was nothing written. There was like 3 books at the time. And luckily, I only needed 3 resources. But it was hard trying to find those 3 books. There was like nothing at the time. Now, if that was my term paper, I'd have a tremendous amount of research at my fingertips, thank God. But back then, it was nothing. But that was the thing that drove me. Rap music is the thing that got me at that time, and I might be showing my age, but whatever. But so at that time, I was listening to Public Enemy. I had like my interest in music was in rap music within itself. So like people would be like, oh, it's not diverse, you just like rap music. But if you are a person who likes rap music, you would realize there's so much diversity within the genre. Sort of like black people. But I would listen to Public Enemy, who's like real militant, and then I would listen to Heavy D, who was, he talked about love. Heavy D was like my Winnie the Pooh. I love Winnie the Pooh. I loved Heavy D. Oh my God, did I love Heavy D. So I mean, I was quite diverse. And if you don't know who any of these people are, I would say that it's worth researching it to find out what drove these people and what they did and what they did with their lives, because they're important parts of, at least for me, my culture and my history. But that's what drove me into writing, which is crazy because my mother wrote. My mother was a playwright, and my mother taught English as a second language at Medgar Evers College and in New York. But, she passed when I was 8 years old, and the most I remember teaching myself how to write cursive by tracing things that she wrote. But, she was a mother who was, like I said, she passed when I was 8. So she had a husband who was passing of leukemia. So between the ages of from the time I was 4 to the time I was 7, my father had been in and out of hospitals because of his leukemia. And then he lost his battle when I was 7. And she had a sister who passed from colon cancer. My aunt passed 3 months before my father passed. And then my mother was struggling with her own diagnosis of breast cancer. And she was in school to get her PhD. And then at the same time, she was raising this child, basically on her own. And she was juggling a lot. And so I feel like she did great, because there wasn't a moment that I felt unloved. I always knew she loved me, and I always felt that I had her attention. I wasn't a kid who was dying for attention. It was after she passed away that I felt like I was dying for attention. And that's because I didn't have my mom and my dad. No matter how much attention you get from everyone else around you, when you don't have your mom and your dad, it's just very difficult to fill that void. And so it's crazy because there wasn't anything that she that I remember when she was alive, sharing the gift of writing with me. Actually, I wrote an essay before my father died for the Statue of Liberty, and I won this essay contest, but it was my dad who helped me with the essay. So, I mean, I guess he was a pretty good writer too. Well, I don't know. I was in 2nd grade. Maybe he was just good for 2nd grade. But I found my way to the thing that her and I would have shared. But I found it through something that was relevant to me, my age, and my culture at the time. And that was hip hop. And so I've always been passionate about it. I've always loved it. I had a older cousin, Kevin, who he rapped. And, I would always go, and he's 10 years older than me. So I would always go and try to wear his gold chains and wear his 2 and 3 finger rings and try to impress him by grabbing a mic and spitting my little, 9 and 10-year-old raps, talking about the boys that's out of place is the boys I smack, because I was listening to Audio 2. I'm telling you guys, you don't know these people, you better look them up for real, because they had it popping. Nice and Smooth. Oh my God, I used to love Nice and Smooth too. But I'm reminiscing over here. But I've always loved writing and I've always been able to connect to it. So the evolution of my writing made sense to everyone around me as well as to myself. But there was a time where I felt like I was all over the place because people would say, oh, what do you want to write? You want to write books? You want to write movies? You want to write television? You want to write poetry? And I would just be like, all that, all of it. But at the same time, I'd be terribly offended if you came to me and was like, can you write X, Y, and Z, like some kind of business thing or some kind of essay. I hate writing essays. Can you believe it? Like, I never enjoyed writing an essay. I never enjoyed writing a term paper. And people used to be like, what? Why? And I'm just like, well, just because I'm a writer don't mean I like writing everything. You know, doctors don't like to work on every part of the body. If I'm a doctor, but I'm an OB, it doesn't mean that I like feet. So I'm like, I don't know. But at the same time, I'm like, all of it. I want to write film. I want to write this. That. It's so crazy. So all of it in the creative portion of it, I guess. It's crazy. I don't like writing essays, but I did a whole nonfiction book. Long Neck Bottles is nonfiction, man. Honey, this is why, okay? For so long, I felt all over the place, and I felt like only other writers understood when I said I wanted to cover all these different genres, because people who weren't writers would sort of like force me to focus on something. Yeah, but like, what do you want to write most? And they were trying to pull out that one thing, and I would get terribly annoyed until I matured and I realized that it had its purpose, because it's not that I had to find the one thing I could focus on and pick that and be stuck with it for the rest of my life. I said I wanted to write film, so I better only write film. It's not even that. It just showed me what to start with. Where do I get started? What do I focus on first? How do I put my foot in the door? And for me, it was rap. It was like, okay, for years, I was like, okay, well, I want to be a rap artist. I want to be a lyricist. And I never really wanted to. I like being on stage. I get a rush after I do it, but I'm always so nervous, and I have nervous bladder. I always got pee right before I get. It's crazy. I always was like, I would prefer if I could find a bunch of people I could write for. Like, I'd be cool with that. I don't need the fame. Just write me the check and let me have the self-gratification of knowing that I wrote that it popped, I wrote it. That part never happened for me, but I'm cool with that because I saw that was how I got started. And then it grew into, I started telling stories within my lyrics, and then taking those stories and trying to turn them into something. I did a web series years ago called Saved by the Blood. It was on my YouTube channel, and I don't even remember what the name of my YouTube channel is. It's crazy. It might be Phoenix Ash TV. Somebody look that up and let me know. But I did a web series there, and basically the story in the web series came from a story that was in a song I recorded that I actually lost, and I was going to re-record the song, and instead of re-recording the song, I built it out into a script and started to do a web series. So that was like the evolution. It was starting to develop. It was starting to get bigger. It was around the time that I had just graduated with my master's, and I think I've told the story a million times before that when I went to school to get my master's in creative writing, I thought I was going there to get help with writing like the next great American novel. And I ended up coming out with a degree in screenwriting, which was the format that's terrified me the most because it had all these rules and I just didn't feel like I could get it. I was like, what? I don't understand. But I got it and I love it. Go figure. So that was the evolution for me. And then I went back to writing books, and I did it on my own with a different understanding of story, with a different understanding of what's necessary and what I'd like to communicate. And I'm still developing that, but I feel like, when going to school and stuff, it helped me sort of get my understanding of the craft, because once I decide that that's something that I'm interested in, I really want to connect to the craft. I want to learn how it's done, and not necessarily because I want to be a cookie cutter or I feel like everything has rules and you need to find boundaries. But I feel like when you step out of the box, you should at least know what the box looks like. You get me? Like, I want to know, what does the box look like? So I want to be able to recognize when I'm stepping out of the box, when I'm at the edge of the box, when I'm right in the center of it. I want to know where I am, what I'm doing with the craft. I want to be able to mold it purposefully. I want to be able to sculpt it on purpose. So once I connect to it, I need to study it. I need to understand it. I need to talk to other people. I need to, read other books in my genre, read other books that pique my interest, and find all the things that I like and what I'd like to repeat and what I'd like to implement into my own writing. Like, I just want to do all of that. And luckily for me, there's a gabillion, zillion books in the world. And I have plenty of material to study. I always feel understudied. Always feel like I haven't studied enough. I haven't read enough. And then there's the issue with my memory. I can't remember jack nothing. So, like, I might have read it. I might have understood it at the time. And then my brain sort of, like, put it away and made room for something else. I don't know. Maybe it's really small in there and it's just getting crowded quickly. I don't know. But yeah, like, think about the things that you would do if you didn't need to be paid. And start there. Start to connect with what will get you excited. And if, like I said, if you can't find that one big thing, like if you find something that gets you excited, but you're like, but I don't know if I would do that forever. Would you do it for a year or two? Would you do it for 5 years? And maybe that's the thing that you're supposed to try first. And then maybe it sparks something else that you try second. And then you try something third. And you spend a couple years doing this and you spend a couple years doing that. But you spend a lot of years happy. That's what I want for you. Just to spend a lot of years happy. So start with that. Try to connect for those of you who can't. And for those of you who can, recognize the blessing in being able to know. I know it's overwhelming and frustrating when it's not hitting in the way that you want it to, or hitting the target audience at the time you wanted to, or hitting the size that you wanted to hit. It's coming. Keep going. Keep going. Press at it. Study it. Renew your energy. Find things that will renew your love, renew your energy, or pivot for a second. Maybe you need to try something else for a second and come back. I know with writing, you see the same thing all the time. You're going at the same story all the time. It all starts to look the same. You start missing errors, glazing over, and you need to go away and come back and see it with fresh eyes. Sometimes we got to look at our passions with fresh eyes. Look at our lifelong dreams with fresh eyes. And there are times that we may have to admit to ourselves that this is no longer our passion. It was hard for me to admit that becoming a rap lyricist, or being a rap lyricist, it was no becoming. I was a lyricist, or am a lyricist. I guess I'm forever a lyricist. I still could probably put some stuff down, you know what I mean? Like, I be listening to Jadakiss so daggone much, I got some rap lyrics somewhere in me. Please, come on, listen to my voice. Anyhow, I'm sweating myself. But if I don't, who's going to do it? My husband. But anyhow, no, for real though, it was hard for me to admit that I no longer wanted to pursue making records. That was a hard realization for me. And I just grew tired and was like, I love to rap, but like, I didn't love the pursuit of a career in it, if that makes sense to anyone. We could probably sit around and chill and laugh and freestyle, or I would probably use it as a writing assignment or exercise, but I didn't want to pursue making records. I didn't want to pursue people for beats. I actually didn't mind recording in the studio, but I didn't want to chase anybody to, like, I don't know, edit it. I didn't want to take it to the engineer. I didn't want to do all those extra things. I just wanted to rap. So it's very hard for me to admit to myself that I was kind of over it. I still enjoy listening to it, and when I listen to it, sometimes there's some lyrics that pop in my mind. I'd be like, ooh, I'd be so impressed. But kind of over it. I am kind of over it. So my life had evolved into something else where now stories get me excited. Screenplays get me excited. Teleplays get me excited. That's what gets me excited now. I have like a short story assignment to do, and I'm, once I defeat my exhaustion for the night, I'm going to try to put my fingers to them keys and pump something out. But I get excited thinking about those things. I want excitement for you too. I want happiness, fulfillment, the pursuit of something that's going to give you joy. And I want you to have joy while you're pursuing it. Not that it's not going to be hard. Not that you're not going to have the feelings of frustration because you're not necessarily achieving what you dreamt you would achieve by that point. But the anxiousness, the love, the flutter of pursuing the thing that you love or the thing you thought would always be great if you could, I want that for you. And if you want that for yourself, then you follow some of my suggestions on how to find it. Share with me if you're able to do any of these things, and share with me. Let's talk about it. I'm always willing to listen, or, definitely got an opinion. What? You want me to talk back? I could do that. But yeah, let's talk. You can get at me at P Writes on Twitter or at P Writes on Instagram. I'm Phoenix Ash on Facebook. If you want to read anything that I've written, please take a look at Amazon Books. I have Long Neck Bottles, as well as my first novel, In Her Makeup, is available on both Amazon Books as well as Kindle, and they're both now available on Audible and Apple Books. Look at that. I'm making all this progress. So yeah, check those out. So excited that Soiled Sheets is being re-released by Beloved Publications. Yes, that is who my publisher is. They did a cover reveal. I'm so excited. Take a look at my Instagram page at P Writes. You'll see what the cover is. Beloved Publications. It's on their Instagram page as well. The author, Beloved, she's been so supportive and such a super duper cheerleader. Just an amazing experience going through this, as well as all the other writers who are under Beloved Publications. Such a great family. So happy that now I can just say what it is. But yes, July 12th, Soiled Sheets is being re-released, repackaged. You think you've seen it before, but honey, it's not like this. Okay, make sure you pick it up. Make sure you read it. Leave me a review. Talk to me about it, good or bad. Let me know. You have some thoughts about how I can grow and how I could develop. Let me hear it. I may not take all of it, but I'm going to listen. Anyway, until next time when we can exchange power. Peace.